Carolina Orciola Maria Perciolo, excuse the pronunciation, served as a nurse for over 2 decades in a London hospital before she opened the doors to a delicatessen over in Brewer Street in London SOHO back in 1944. Over 80 years on, there has now been 5 delicatessens, 4 bars and 10 restaurants, most of them dotted across London with one in Manchester, and an additional eatery all the way in the Far East over in Japan. All the restaurants serve fresh, prepared in-house dishes using nothing but traditional and regional produce, and all prepared and cooked in the traditional way. Just how did I not know about this chain restaurant? Seriously, I must be living under a cave. So hello again viewers and welcome back. So we continue with our UK chain restaurant series here in one of the 10 UK branches of Lina Stores here in Canary Wharf, London. Granted, I could have visited the original deli in Brewer Street in London SOHO. However, this will be a focus on how a typical branch would stand up in the rather gloomy landscape that is of UK chain restaurant mediocrity. Well, I got a rather warm and fuzzy feeling, plus usual hunger pangs, of course, about this one, so I shall see you all inside by the table. And welcome to Lina Store, or Lina Stores even, Limited, in Canary Wharf. Quick cursory view of the menu, some aperitifs, suggestive aperitivi, if I pronounced that correct. Antipasti courses there. And you got pasta and secondi, your main course, typically meat and fish. And you got your selezione di Lina, which is a shared menu, so £35 per person. Minimal two people to share the whole table, so you get a variety of dishes and pudding. So that looks pretty good value. And you've got your little dessert selection at the end. As this is an Italian style restaurant, of course, a little wine list to go along with it. There you go. And I've gone for a bottle of still water to accompany the meal today. As I live near the Thames, I'm not particularly fond of the tap water offered by Thames Water. Just been drinking it for decades and yeah, quite fed up with it, to be honest. Okay, so order has been made, and also got another beverage accompanied by emergency water. So I treated myself to what they call a shinotto. It's a dark orange-based soft drink based from a myrtle leaf, something along those lines. But I remember trying this for the first time when I was out in Turin's. Amazing, refreshing drink. Anyway, I'll have a taste to remind myself of how good it really is. So on behalf of Lina Stores in Canary Wharf, cheers. I'm quite a fan of the Negroni cocktail. It's got elements of that herby, bitter orangeness, but without the alcohol, of course, but certain personality traits of that. I know I'm waffling. Yes, lots of herbiness, dark, bitter orange, sweet, just about sweet enough. Good balanced drink. I think it's going to take a quiet taste as well. The starter courses have landed, so gone through a duet of dishes. They're small little delicate dishes, but just want to showcase a little bit more variety in this one. So looking at the first dish here, and I've very handily got the supporting notes to help me through. So it's got the olive alla ascolana, green olive and fennel sausage fritti with herb aioli. Looks quite similar to arancini, but I imagine there isn't any rice in here, so it's going to be much sausage filling and some olive content in there. You know what, I'm going to cut this into two so we get a better look at the inside. And here you go. So as I thought, some slices of small diced pieces of olive in there, and you got this fennel sausage. The aroma is amazing. It's just all wafting out as soon as I cut the fritti in half. Now let's have a taste, just without any accompanying sauce. That is eventful. Right off the bat, you're just hit with a lovely aniseed freshness of the fennel and the juicy sausage content, and you've got the olives as well to add a bit of that bitterness. Have another little bite. I get quite thrown as I expect the texture of an arancini. That this is certainly much more. No, there's no rice in here, so a different texture altogether. Right, let's try dipping this into the aioli. The aioli complements it splendidly, not overpowering it. It's got a lovely, it's light, velvety in texture. It goes very well. So yeah, just a moderate dip in there, and I think it's a very well balanced accompanying sauce. Now, how am I going to tackle this? It's the bruschetta, and it consists of ricotta cheese and an andouille spicy sausage and a little garnish of basil leaf there and a bit of olive oil. What I'll do, I'm going to distribute some of the ricotta on top of the andouille. I think that andouille is the correct pronunciation, I hope. So let me know in the comments. Okay, so I'll just swing this around and go for the first bite. I might have to lean over, don't want to spill this. I am liking this concept. The heat from the andouille sausage and the cool, soft ricotta cheese as to counterbalance. And I just realised how thick the focaccia is. So certainly you have to not dislocate your jaw to eat it, but it's, yeah, you have to work slightly harder, but it's amazingly crispy and yep, crumbles quite pleasantly. Yes, so the lighting in here is on the low end of the spectrum. I guess they just want to create that convivial evening feel, even though it's still daylight outside. Anyway, mustn't complain. So I'm going to carry on, just try a little bit more of the bruschetta. I'm going to just have to take some of it out, in fact. We'll move it out of the way. The generous topping. So much going on. Now, thanks to you to keep your palate busy, and you've got that mild heat delivery. Excuse me if I have any orange coloured stains. It's absolutely delicious. I don't even want to do any more film, I just want to just carry on eating. Switch over to the lovely little fennel sausage fritti. Right, I've dunked it into the aioli, and may as well just have the whole, it's the half of the ball itself. Even off the back of all the drama going on with this bruschetta, the fennel sausage fritti, still got plenty of going on with it. So delicious. It's just, what I love about Italian cuisine is as simple and unassuming as it appears when it's cooked correctly or someone knows what they're doing. You're in for a very pleasant surprise. Right, so I'm going to, maybe there's a little wedge of lemon here, so suggests that I should put a little bit of a touch of acidity in there. That's enough. It's a quarter-sized piece. The sharpness doesn't add or take anything away. I think it's all preference. I can live without it. A little bit more aioli. Oh, even perhaps aioli. A little bit more lemon. For the ultimate experience. I suppose the closest comparison to this would be perhaps, don't get offended viewers, Scotch egg. But a good Scotch egg there is not any mediocre chilled Scotch egg you get from the supermarket. The sauce content has to be of high quality without the egg inside. Wouldn't mind this if it was offered on a pub menu, let me tell you. Okay, last piece. And that's with hamburgers, as in with my honest burger video. I just have to eat this with my hands, I'm afraid. Try not to make too much of a mess. Oh, look at it. That's a generous topping. The focaccia, toasted focaccia, is not soft in the middle, so just to warn you, it's just crunchy all the way through, but it just breaks apart fairly easy. Once you bite into it, it falls apart fine. Oh, right. I might have to just even out the mix somewhat. Get a balance to the hot and the cool. It doesn't look as pretty anymore, I know, but needs must. Okay. Honestly, you compare a bruschetta from a typical chain restaurant, Zizzi's, Bella Italia, Ask Italian, and so forth. Generally, I just roll my eyes in disappointment. Yeah, this is something else. So this is on another planet. Let me tell you. It'd be rude to say food is simple. It is, in a way, simplicity in terms of the amount of ingredients put in, but they're all quality ingredients, balanced, and works together, exceeding the far sum of its own parts. So the Lina Stores website has handily put together a rather nifty and detailed historical account of itself, and I'm going to have to condense it a little bit and adapt it so we can fit it into this segment. Lina Stores opened in 18 Brewer Street in 1944, with the deli featuring its signature pistachio green exterior. Officially registered in the name of one Enrico Emilia Crippa, he named the delicatessen after Lina, the love of his life. In fact, Lina Stores Limited is a typo made when registering the business. It was meant to be called Lina's Store, but the misspelt name has stuck ever since. Alberto and Rita Serradi, both who were born in King's Cross, became friends of Lina and Emilio and were instrumental with the launch and day-to-day running of the delicatessen. Initially focusing on general Italian produce, the deli quickly specialised in importing high-quality delicacies from regional Italy that were impossible to find anywhere within 1940s London. The building at Brewer Street had lived many lives before it was turned into a delicatessen. Often seen making fresh pasta by hand through the shop window, Lina was affectionately named as the Smiling Lady. Agnolotti and tagliatelle were among her favourite pasta shapes to make. The word got around the London hospitality scene, and Lina's fresh pasta was highly sought after by the likes of the Café Royal, the Ritz Hotel, the Savoy, and the Le Coq d'Or. Following Emilio Crippa's death in 1967, as a last testament to his love for Lina, Emilio left the business and all his possessions to her. Lina decided to retire in her 60s and left the business in the trusted hands of the Serradi family. She moved back to Italy, where she spent time between Acque Terme, excuse the pronunciation, with family and her apartment in Le Ricci. She died peacefully in 1986 at the age of 88, with her family by her side. Giovanni and Rosa Filippi took over the delicatessen from the Serradi family. The Filippis and daughter Gabriella, along with husband, affectionately known as Tony, continued to run the delicatessen, retaining and still using the original kitchen and pasta machinery that Lina and the Serrani family had been using years before them. When Giovanni and Rosa retired in the early 1990s, Gabriella and Tony took over the delicatessen, followed in turn by their son-in-law Massimo, with support from their daughter Claudia. Over the years, Lina Store Delicatessen attracted interest not just from local Italian communities. Name drop alert: Roger Moore, Ava Gardner, Paul McCartney, Tony Curtis, Lawrence Oliver, Alec Guinness, to name a few. And actors and musicians from the neighbouring theatre and music studios were all known to frequent the place. Luciano Pavarotti even once said that Lina Stores was a little piece of Italy. In 2009, the Filippi family sold the delicatessen to Edward and Max Green, who both studied in Cambridge and who were in their 20s. The Greens had ambitious plans for Lina Stores, then with the help of Chris Miller from the White Rabbit projects, and with executive head chef Masharina, ushered in the new era of Lina Store restaurants around London, Manchester and Japan. So for Lina Store, started out as a humble Soho delicatessen, is now a player in the London and British casual dining sector. And the main course has landed. It is a linguine con granciano e limone. In other words, linguine with crab and lemon. I'm quite surprised by this. There is no spoon to accompany your fork to have this pasta, but fork on its own will have to do. Hope you capture the colour. It's a lovely, almost saffron in colour. There's a rich yellow, little flakes of chilli in there, chopped I reckon parsley in there, and you've got your crab meat intermixed with the sauce and the linguine. Okay, here it goes. I'll just try it with the fork first. You can taste the crab in there, the element of the sea. It's not overwhelmingly rich or anything in there. Nothing completely stands out. It's just lovely light pasta. Imagine this would be more of a summer proposition. Eat outdoors, especially by the sea. Okay, lights, camera, action. We are now rolling. I just had to wait around to get a spoon. It just feels wrong having anything pasta noodles without it. It's not the most wet of sauces, I must admit. I love the lightness of the whole thing. Typically you find in other chain establishments as they get a bit too rich with the sauce. Even some making it taste too sweet even. Not here. So there's a lot more of an authentic flavour and taste profile going on here. If you ever happen to dine in one of the branches or even in the original deli of Lina Stores, is the dishes used to serve pasta. They're quite small. I'd say about 7 inches in diameter, thereabouts. However, they pile all the pasta in a compact shape, so there is a good portion in here. Perhaps if you're used to enormous meatballs and mountains of spaghetti, then you might be disappointed with the size. But this is how it's normally. This is kind of the typical serving size in parts of Italy, especially in the south. Pasta is generally eaten moderately in portion size, that is, and then when they have their main course, the secondi. Apologies for digging around here. I'm just trying to get a good amount on the spoon. There we go. There isn't any overwhelming sense of lemon sharpness in there. Perhaps there's just a measured amount just to give it a hint of lightness. That's all very good. Chili flakes in there, but again, very mild. Nothing to worry about if you're averse to spice. So if I were to compare this to other chain restaurants, especially Italian cuisine, the pasta quality and the starters absolutely blows them away. Compared to independent restaurants, family-run Italian families who run them, in the ballpark. I sense there is, with independent places, there's a little bit more scope for flair. Whereas when you prepare food, when you prepare your menus for on a wider scale, in the chain restaurants, you generally have to resort to being a bit more uniform, a bit more safe. But thankfully, there's still authenticity in here, which is a good thing. A little palate cleanser. The service is a little bit busy. It's a large restaurant, but not many staff, enough to cover the floor area. Right, so just had to relocate my camera. They sat a couple next to me, so just don't want to disturb them too much. I just want to wrap up this main course. Do you mind whether I should go for a dessert or not? Anyway, pastas, yeah, going down the treat. So as this is now a chain restaurant, as small as it does exhibit certain chain restaurant habits. So the inconsistency with service perhaps, the use of loud music and dim lighting, which is all a trend with chain restaurants. So even with good food, authentic food, it's also the whole package of the whole actual dining experience itself, which also counts. But anyway, maybe I'm being harsh. Perhaps another branch will do a lot better job. So this is the third and final course. I've gone for cannolo from Sicily. So it is pastry, or the equivalent to pastry, so it's deep fried pasta in olive oil, and then they allow it to cool down to dry, so it becomes very crispy. It's often filled with ricotta cheese, pistachio, chocolate, or a variety of other delights, and sprinkling of some ice and sugar as garnish. So I got my spoon here, but I don't know about spoon. I think I should I think I'll do this the old-fashioned way. It looks like it's been stuck on by another dollop of, I think is more ricotta. Yeah, there's an ongoing theme of ricotta cheese in today's dining video. So, sorry, the lighting's so dark in here. That's quite one of my pet peeves. It's like fine bits of pistachio there, but only one way to find out. Absolutely fabulous. The ricotta filling, lovely chilled temperature to it, and not overly or sickly sweet. You can find in many of the ready-made cannolis that you get in supermarkets and delis. Actually, this is quite refreshing to eat. So on the other end of the cannolo, you have bits of chocolate on there. So good mix of different delightful ingredients there, all from Lina's pantry. The undertone of the cheese in the filling will remind you it's not a cream or anything like that. It's actually cheese in there. I just love what they did with it. One of the questions I was asking myself before I set foot in here is what's part of Lina's legacy, or what's part of her passion for food and hospitality has survived through the 80 plus years since she first opened the delicatessen, and having then expanded to multiple branch restaurants. Well, I would like to say certainly in the food, the quality, the commitment to sticking with trusted suppliers from Italy and even local in the UK as well, with quality produce. And keeping everything as simple as possible, not reinventing the wheel and with any of the recipes, just do it well. And that sort of thing is timeless. Enough rambling. I'm going to finish this cannolo off, and I will see you outside for the wrap-up. It won't be long. So that was, or what should be, a typical dining experience at a Lina Stores restaurant branch. Some rather impressive Italian-based food there that's comforting, accessible and affordable. Slightly flawed chain restaurant perhaps, or maybe it's just this branch, but exceptionally credible food. And another piece of a jigsaw to my picture of the UK chain restaurant scene. So the next one's going to be a little bit more upmarket, but you don't have to be in Mayfair, you don't even have to be in London even to be able to enjoy it, so watch this space all. So until that time, I wish you all a very pleasant evening, and I'll see you all again in the next one. So you all take care now.